Hey, geometry. All right, second part of this 9-3 rotation section. So they want us to rotate triangle ABC, which is not properly drawn in here. This is, they give us the coordinates. But there's our triangle ABC, and so this is supposed to be A, this is supposed to be B, and this is supposed to be C. But we're rotating it around the point 2, -2. So we're rotating no longer around the origin, but around this point right here. That's our anchor point. And they want us to rotate this 90 degrees counterclockwise. So this is kind of rotating, I guess, to the left around the outside, if we think about the top of this rotating around. So we just got to kind of count over from this point and then do our rotation. And really what I recommend with this, if you're doing this visually, is to kind of just rotate your page. And so from here, point A, we see is 2 right and 5 up. And you can kind of just count up that distance, 2 right, 5 up, and we can just rotate this, go 2 right, 5 up, and that will put us right there. And so this is where, and I guess I should label this the other way. That's where A will end up after being rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise. And so I guess we'll call this A prime now. We'll do this more of that style of notation. B was 2 right and what is it, 5, so 14 up. So 2 right and 14 up. So here we rotate this 90 degrees. So I'm actually rotating my page clockwise to rotate my figure counterclockwise. So we're going 2 right and 14 up. So that would put us there, I believe. Hopefully I got that right. And so that is B prime, where it will end up in its rotation. And then finally C. So C, we're going from 2 to 12. So that's 10 right and looks like 5 up. So from here, I'm going to go 10 right. So 2 would be 8. And then 5 up from there puts us at that point. And I'm just counting from this point. I'm using that point kind of as my anchor point, as if it were my origin, and kind of ignoring the rotation that would happen around the origin. So we end up with our triangle. That was C, by the way, that rotated up there. And there's our triangle rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise around this point, with that point as our center. All right, so let's do this one more time on a figure over here. We've got a rectangle. So here's our rectangle. And the coordinates of this rectangle are A, B, C, and D. And we're rotating around this point -2, 1. So that's going to be our anchor point this time around. All right, they're telling us here rotate 180 degrees. So it doesn't actually give us a direction, clockwise or counterclockwise, so we default to counterclockwise, but it really doesn't matter. It's going to be the exact same whether we rotate this way or that way. So I'll rotate counterclockwise, but it really doesn't matter. So each of these points, I'll start with like the closest one. It's kind of easy to count to. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left and 1 up. It really doesn't matter the order you do this in, as long as you keep track of it. So if I rotate to here, that would be 90 degrees if I went 4 left and 1 up. But I actually want to rotate another 90, 180. And so I want to end up 4 left of there and 1 up. And that's going to be where D ends up. So after, basically I'm flipping my whole page around, rotating my page 180 degrees. I'm rotating the paper clockwise to rotate myself counterclockwise. And so that's where D ends up. And it'll end up looking like this. And that's, I guess, D prime. Did I do my primes over here? I did not on C. Here it is on C. And so how about C is the next closest point, I guess. So we're 4 left and then 5 up. So if I rotate the whole page around, 4 left and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, that's where C ends up. So I'll turn my page around and call that C prime. A is, so we can kind of count this out. This is 10 left and 1 up. 10 left and 1 up. You could also do 1 up and 10 left. You'll get to the same point as long as we rotate that page. 10 left and 1 up. Where's it put? There. You should be able. You can also measure like the lengths of these, right? You can kind of see what the length. Oh, the size of this rectangle is 6, and so it's going to be 6, and so that should match. The dimensions shouldn't change when we're just rotating. And so that's A prime, and then B prime is 10 left and 5 up. So if we rotate a full 180 degrees, 10 left, 5 up, should basically finish out that rectangle if we're doing this properly. And so that is where B prime ends up. And so this is what we've done. We've rotated this thing. This figure has rotated 180 degrees, and really it doesn't matter which way you go. That's where it would end up. If we rotate this 180 degrees that way or this way, we end up in that same location.